You hear our voice?
可以吧？
还没改。
刚刚你听到现在应该也可以。什么？
Hi.
哦，我看
Okay.
1秒钟之后就开始。
Let us see how many people here.
YouTube
3
开始了
people.
吗？
Hi everyone. Welcome to our live stream today. And I'm Claire.
And I'm Nemo.
Okay.
We talk about some printing corners last live stream, so welcome to see you again.
Yeah. And today we will invite a guest to join our live stream here.
Yeah, so if you come here, please say hello to us and tell us where are you from. We are in Shenzhen.
Yeah. I think there are 4 people is watching now.
Yeah.
We will wait for more people to come in, and then we will to start the live stream. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Last live streams we talking about the 3D printing, and many people show some ideas to us. So this time we also want to share many ideas with you guys, and also we invite a guest that Phil is a 20 years engineers. So he will be very professional about 3D printing. So we may talk more about here.
Okay.
今天晚上9点半，现在9点半。
现在。
开始。
Okay.
Okay, let's check how many people here now.
Okay, there are 5 people on the YouTube actually, and the Facebook just starts now.
Okay, let's welcome more people coming. And you can send some comments to us, just say hello to us. Let us know that you are here.
Okay.
Welcome, you guys.
Welcome.
Okay, or you can tell us that what's idea or what's the topic you want us to talk about. You can leave the comments here.
Say, if you are here, you can say hello to us and let us know you're here, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, maybe we can introduce some simple brief to
to our guest today. It's our first guest.
Is one of the YouTuber who aims to teach and inspire people to do fun things. He had 13 years of experience in manufacturing, and his channel called the Pharaoh Engineering.
Yeah.
So if you have interest, you can subscribe him and follow him in the YouTube channel. And also Phil joined our user group. He is very professional about how to use 3D printers, so you can watch his Facebook and leave some comments here.
Okay, here is his YouTube channel, the Pharaoh Engineer. Yeah, he released some very professional videos about 3D printing, CNC machine, and woodworking.
Yeah,
if you are interested in this, you can subscribe his channel on YouTube.
And also, it's his first time to do the live stream, so I think we are lucky.
Yeah, we're very glad to invite him to come here.
Okay, maybe it's time to invite Phil.
Yes.
Okay, let's welcome Phil. Hello.
Hi, Phil.
Okay.
Nice to see you here.
Yeah, Phil, just say hello to
Yeah.
us. You may do some brief introduction to them.
Yeah, although there are not very many people here now, but I think there will be more people coming in minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear Phil?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Don't worry. Oh.
Okay, got it. So you are also a teacher in the high school to teach them something about like CNC machine, the engineering, right?
Yep. I teach, well, like I said, I primarily teach them how to build CNC machines, but I go over some of the fundamentals of, I can hear myself. Oh, what's going on?
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
You guys are playing around with
mentioned-
settings.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
some seconds delay. So
Yeah.
Yeah, since you mentioned that you teach people in the high school, so we may talk about the first topic. What initial attracted you to 3D printing, and how did you get started in the field?
Well, I got started in manufacturing when I was a teenager. I got into manufacturing when I was really young, and I got into 3D printing primarily due to the projects that I was working on at my high school with the students. We needed some custom parts that we couldn't make quickly and easily enough. And it's like, and they said, well, we have these 3D printers. Why don't we just try to 3D print the parts? And from that point, we printed out a couple of pieces, and I was like, oh, this is pretty useful. I think I might be able to utilize one of these in my hobbies as well. So I got my first printer, and then I started to see some of the shortcomings of that printer. And I said, well, I've got the mechanical and electrical background. So I started modifying the printer that I had, and I got another one to print parts for that printer. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And from there, I started sharing all of my little tips and tricks on my YouTube channel and all of the different communities on Reddit and Facebook. And here we are today.
Wow, it seems amazing that maybe 13 years ago you started 3D printing.
No. 30 years ago, I got into machining and metal
Manufacturing.
removal.
Yes.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3D printing actually became a little bit more prevalent in my industry back in about 2009, 2010 was my first experience with 3D printed
2004.
prototype part.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
But-
early time, I think.
It's also a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's read some comments.
Okay, now can you guys hear the voice of Phil? Because I see some people say he can't hear the voice.
Okay, they can hear now.
Okay.
Yeah, Phil is awesome. We agree about that.
Okay,
So
thank you, Susan.
how did you guys get started the 3D printing? Phil is nearly about 2009.
Okay. glad that you can hear our voice now. Okay, and back to Phil. As you said, you get started into 3D field when you was a teenager, right? Do you think nowadays the teenagers they will have passions or they will be interested in 3D printing?
I think that there's a lot of interest in 3D printing, not only with teenagers but adults as well. I do see the market growing exponentially as time goes on, and because the entry to a 3D printer is the price point is getting lower and lower, more people are inclined to get them and try them out, and then they either love it or they hate it. And if they love it, they buy more machines, and if they hate it, they put them on eBay or whatever. But hopefully, with the way technology is advancing, more and more people will get into it. And my whole thing is, I hope it inspires them to look into more and more about how things are made, how things are manufactured, so that they kind of pick up more on the different facets of the industry as well. Because 3D printing is only one little corner of the industry. You've got metalworking, you've got injection molding, you've got all kinds of different facets of the manufacturing industry that you could start to look into once you have an entry point.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. So I think many people will find their hobby or their professional when they are teenagers. So I think people who focus on the CNC things or machines, what's their personality? Maybe passions or others?
As far as their personality goes, that's a difficult question. There's so many different types of people
because in our last live stream, we think people who are doing 3D printing things, they are very patient
Yeah, absolutely. You have to have a lot of patience, especially when you first get your first 3D printer. You have to basically learn how to set it up and adjust it and level the bed and what all of the different settings do and things like that. So it definitely does take a small level of patience to get started.
Yeah, you may learn more about the skills, and you need to know many therapy, and also you need to practical your hand so you can get this machine and work well.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And
okay, maybe the next topic. Okay, can you share some tips or advice for beginner 3D printing ethusiasts? Yeah.
I think when it comes to the beginners, the most important thing for a beginner to do is learn the slicer that comes with the machine, because the manufacturer profiles are typically tuned to the way that the machine is set up. And don't be afraid to dig into the settings that the slicer has. Even though you have a profile that the manufacturer put together, you will find that you may have to make some adjustments, and you have to learn all of the settings in order to make it so that your printer works reliably. Another thing, I mean, don't be afraid to try other slicers as well, because the one that's provided, it's good, but there's also updated versions of the slicer that might be available, or different slicers you might want to try out, and they may have features that the slicer that you started with don't have. So you want to try and venture out a little bit and try different ones. And number one thing is to definitely master the art of leveling your bed and setting your Z offset, because those are the two fundamentals that you have to do pretty much every time you start a print. You'll have to double check and make sure that your Z offset hasn't drifted or that your bed hasn't gotten knocked out of level. Because if you don't start with a good foundation, you're going to have problems down the line. Another important thing is to utilize the features that are provided with your machine, as well as the third-party peripherals that are also available. So if your machine doesn't come with a bed level sensor, you can get aftermarket bed level sensors and install them. But at that point, you're getting into the more advanced modification type situations, and some people are okay with that, some people aren't. So you have to kind of pick and choose your machine based on your level of ability, as well as what you're willing to put into that machine to make it work the way that you want.
Okay.
Another thing that might be helpful to a lot of people, and I have covered this in a couple of my YouTube videos, is there is a third-party program out there called the Bed Leveler 5000 that helps people level their beds out, and it offers a lot of functionality that like a standard Marlin system wouldn't from the basic standpoint. So if you look into a program such as that, it will help you both with the manual leveling as well as the automatic leveling. Another important thing is eventually you're going to have to repair your printer. So you have to learn what the parts are that make your printer what it is, all the components, the hot end and the wheels and screws and what have you. And you have to learn how to repair and adjust your printer, because there is going to be maintenance that will happen. Because I work for a company and we sell machines that are in the millions of dollars, and they still break down and they require maintenance. So nothing is going to last forever. So learning how to repair and adjust your printer is very important. And when it comes to repairing your printer, Google and YouTube are your friend.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that
Yeah.
sarcastically. A lot of people say that when somebody jumps the gun and asks a question right away. But Google and YouTube are great resources to learn how to repair, modify, and upgrade your printer. And don't be afraid to ask questions to anybody that is into this type of stuff, because there are a lot of people in the community, especially in the artillery Facebook group, that are willing to
Yeah.
put in the time and effort to help people with their problems, as long as they've put forth the effort initially to start trying to figure out what they're doing. But if they ask a question right away, then that's when people start to get snarky and sarcastic. And I kind of understand why. I don't condone it. I don't agree with it, but it does happen. But yeah, you have to learn how to repair your machine, but don't be afraid to ask questions. And the most important thing, always clean your bed. If you don't clean your bed, you're going to have adhesion problems. And again, fundamental, clean your bed. You just use a little bit of dish soap and water. Some people use alcohol, and that's pretty much it. Good luck with your printing endeavors at that point. But clean your bed, level your bed, set your Z offset, and learn the fundamentals of how to use your printer.
Okay.
So
let's have a conclusion that Phil put up some very helpful tips for us. No matter you are a beginner or you are very familiar with 3D printer, I think he said the most important thing to clean your bed, right? Okay. And don't be afraid to ask questions. And also, you can search on engine like Google, and also YouTube channel. And next thing is to compare 3D printers, right? And also another thing is to try different slicers.
Okay, generally says that you need to learn the path of the 3D printer, then you need to learn how to repair. If you don't know how to repair, you can ask people's question or ask the brand's support. Also, you can search for Google, YouTube.
Yes, and also you don't afraid to try other slicers.
Yeah, let's look some comments here.
Okay. Some people say learning how they work together is very important as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Phil, can you hear our voice now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Talk about the slicer. What slicer do you use oftenly?
I started with Cura, and I had problems with Cura on my laptop. It was crashing a lot, so I started using Prusa Slicer. And from there, I've kind of stuck with Prusa Slicer for a while, but I've gotten into using Orca Slicer as well.
Okay.
And they all seem to have their own slew of features and things, but
yes. They all have their advantages, right? And
yep.
Okay. So
thanks for this answer. Maybe let's move on.
Okay.
And I think this is Phil's professional
field.
Yes. Compare Marlin and Clipper.
Oh, where do I even begin comparing Marlin and Clipper? The best way that I can sum up Marlin and Clipper is Marlin is very easy to get into, but it's difficult to modify, whereas Clipper is difficult to get into, but it's easy to modify compared to a Marlin system. Because Marlin requires you to have some knowledge in C++ programming and compiling firmware, whereas Clipper is kind of, it abstracts you away from that a little bit when compiling a binary file. And it doesn't expose you to the source code. All of the heavy lifting is done through the printer configuration files, and their online documentation is very good. It's very helpful. Clipper does require a Linux device to run, where Marlin does not. And Marlin, I find, is great for beginners who want to basically turn the machine on, load a file, and print. But Clipper is great for the advanced users who want to print faster and harness the true power of their printer, because you can do a lot of things with Clipper that you can't do with the standard Marlin system. But that all being said, there's no right or wrong solution. At the end of the day, they both offer advantages and disadvantages, and once you get the hang of both of them, apples to apples comparison as far as day-to-day operation, it's very much the same between the two systems.
Okay. Here is a questions
for Phil.
Yeah. Asked from Jonathan. Where is the question? I can find it.
Facebook, right?
Yeah. Okay. So this question is also asked in our last live stream. Yeah, some people. Oh, I think Phil think Marlin is more friendly for beginners, right? And
yeah, it's more user friendly for a beginner, because it's basically tuned from the manufacturer. You turn the machine on, you load your file, and you can pretty much start printing. But Clipper does require a little bit of tweaking from a beginner standpoint. So if you're just starting out with a printer, your best bet is to stick with a Marlin system, or get a Clipper system that's pre-installed from the manufacturer, But even then, there's going to be things that you're going to have to adjust.
Okay, we find the question. Which feature would you like to see as a new standard in 3D printers?
Yeah, this is a question from Jonathan.
I've seen some printers coming out now with auto Z offset, where you don't have to use paper to set your Z offset. And I think if they work on working the bugs out of that a little bit more, that would be a nice feature for a beginner, because you don't have to worry about trying to learn how to get a feel for the piece of paper. The nozzle will come down, touch the build surface, and automatically set itself. And then from there, you can make your first layer adjustments. You still have to make first layer adjustments. Like I said, they haven't quite dialed it in yet, but once they get it to where it's working well, I think that's going to be one of the things that should be standard across all the printers.
Yeah, auto Z offset. I believe this is also the feature that most 3D enthusiasts want, right?
Yeah, well, auto Z offset, auto bed level. There's a lot of people that are getting into the eddy current type bed sensors that it's hard to explain how they do it, but it scans the surface rather than just finds a point when it comes down and makes and triggers the sensor. It actually scans the surface, and it creates a bed mesh based on kind of like a resistance that it sees in the surface, between the surface and the space between the surface of the bed and the sensor. Put it that way.
Okay.
Any more question about Marlin and Clipper?
I think there are still some people prefer Marlin, and because before the Clipper printer released, people are all used Marlin printer.
Yeah, there's some truth in that. People like what they're used to, and if they don't want to change, then they're going to want to stick with a system that they're familiar with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, there is a question from Robert. He just said there are so many different themes that can have an effect on what settings you need to use in your slicer. The profiles provided are a solid starting point, but it's still best to tune your printer to the environment you have it in. Okay, thank you, Robert's question.
That is absolutely right. You have to learn your slicer, learn your machine, and learn how to adapt the slicer settings to your use case.
Okay. Like in between points, there's another comments.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Points means Marlin and Clipper.
In between points. Maybe you can have more comments here.
More details to tell us.
I think he's thinking about the eddy current probe that I was talking about. I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah, the eddy sensor, instead of picking point and point and point and point, it basically scans the entire surface, and it finds the imperfections along the actual surface itself.
Okay.
The eddy sensor being seen a lot.
Be seen it a lot today. What is eddy sensor?
The eddy sensor is what I was just talking about before, where it scans the surface of the build plate, and it can compensate in real time for the actual deviation of the build surface.
Okay. And there comes another comment. What's your opinion about clipper pads to update modeling machines?
My opinion on the clipper pads is kind of subjective depending on which pad you're talking about and which version of clipper, so to speak, they're installing on that pad. I primarily use the Big Tree Tech Pad 7, which has a plain vanilla version of clipper, but the Creality Sonic pad uses their own flavor of clipper, and I'm not a huge fan of it. But even with the clipper pads, you're running into a situation where you're changing over an entire firmware from Marlin system to clipper system, and you're going to have a little bit of, there's going to be a couple of bumps in the road when, as far as the learning curve is concerned, because it's not going to be a plug and play type solution. It's going to be something that you're going to have to learn how to install. You're going to have to learn how to tweak and modify, and you're going to have to learn how to navigate once you get it up and running.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Another question. Instead of just a bunch of space points, I think he answered the question. The added sensor.
Yes. I just replied to him in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. About Marlin and the clipper. I think because Marlin have many printers, so for beginners they will got many skills or help from the older users.
Yeah, there is a larger Marlin user base than Clipper, but I think that gap is slowly going to close up as people get more of the newer printers that are coming with Clipper pre-installed, and other people get into what Clipper actually provide. It actually offers as far as additional features to the person that's actually using the machine. But again, the Marlin systems are perfectly fine, and they're pretty much bulletproof for the beginners.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question?
Yeah, you can comment here. Yeah, it's a great chance to communicate with fear here. So you can.
I think I've answered everybody's question over the past couple of months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, maybe next topic.
Yeah, okay, move on.
Okay, also I think people will love it. How to selecting a DIY 3D printer kit based on their skill level, budget, and intended use.
Well, as far as selecting a 3D printer based on skill level, the one thing to remember is that when you're buying an entry level printer, you're going to have to kind of think a little bit more about the printer and how things are set up and how it's configured, as opposed to buying the more out of the box solutions, if you will, the more expensive solutions that kind of abstract the user away from some of the mechanical and technical aspects of 3D printing. So case in point, a buddy of mine bought a 3D printer that was a little bit more expensive than your standard run of the mill. I wouldn't call it entry level, but the lesser expensive model, or sorry, I don't know. But if he were to come over to my house and try to use my printers, I think he might have a little bit of a problem getting them working, only because the printer that he's got, it abstracts away all of the setup that is involved in a regular run-of-the-mill 3D printer. So I think he would have some issues with that. But at the end of the day, the most important aspect of a printer is the post-sale customer support. and the community behind the brand. The rest is very subjective.
Yes, you're right. The support and the service behind the brand is also very important for the customers. Okay.
Let's answer some questions.
Okay.
Facebook. Facebook.
From Facebook, we got some comments.
What would you say are a few of the best of first 3D printer upgrades someone should consider? Maybe say the buying guides for the beginners.
Yeah, that's a pretty broad question because everybody's got a different use case and they have different things that they would want to upgrade on their printer for what they're trying to do with it. Like if you buy a machine that has a PTFE lined hot end, you're going to want to go for an all metal hot end if you want to print more exotic materials that are not your typical PLA plus. If you want to print PETG, you want to print ABS, you're going to want to look into the all metal hot ends, bimetal heat breaks, and things like that. But if you are printing ABS and you already have that on your machine, you're going to have to look into investing into an enclosure. So it does get to be pretty subjective for basically all the use cases.
Yes, absolutely agree. Because it depends on your needs and requirements, right?
Yep.
Okay, maybe we can move on next topic. Okay, we can see another comments. Oh, this is just
the same one.
Yeah, the same one question. Okay, we can move on next topic.
Okay. Talk about artillery Sidewinder X3 Plus.
Yeah, because we
okay,
know Phil is also a user of X3 Plus, right?
Yep, I've had the X3 Plus for a couple of months, and it's been a very good machine so far. In the time that I've had it, I've never had any major issues with it. It's probably, now that I've installed Clipper on it, it is probably the fastest printer that I currently have. I spent a little bit more time with it, dialing it in, making sure that it was tuned properly, and it, like I said, it is probably the fastest printer in my collection, and I now have 6 printers, so
wow,
that says a lot. It did run great with the original Marlin system installed on it. I didn't have any issues with it at all, but I'm a Clipper fanboy, so I think it runs better with Clipper. I don't know if that's placebo effect or if it's actually the case, but it's been a fantastic machine. And when it comes down to times where it's going to need to be repaired or whatever, maintenance and repair is no different than any other printer that I've got or any other printer on the market. So bearings and belts and POM wheels are going to wear out. Nozzles are going to have to be changed because they erode from too much use. And so there's going to be times where I'll have to fix it, but as of right now, it's been a really good machine.
Okay, that's a very high score for this printer, right?
You guys can find Phil's YouTube channel, and Phil provide 2 videos about Artillery X3 Plus. One is for review, and another one is that change the clipper to the X3 Plus. It's very nice.
Yeah, and I also saw some people in our user group. They also successfully installed Clipper on X3 Plus because they watched Phil's video. So
Yeah. So if you have this idea, you can watch Phil's
YouTube channel.
There are many clippers DIY. Okay, maybe any question here?
Okay, comments.
Okay, maybe next question. What are some of the most exciting developments in 3D printing technology that you are recently seeing?
The things that I've seen primarily, again, going back to the eddy current sensors, I've seen an influx of those hitting the market. There's a lot of different USB solutions for resonance testing equipment, the ADXL sensors, as an example. You don't have to worry about wiring up SPI connections anymore. It's just plug in a USB-C and it's pretty much ready to go. I've seen a lot of Core XY kinematic machines coming out lately, and
Yes.
that seems to be the direction that the market is heading towards, is the Core XY kinematics. I've also seen a machine that uses linear motor drives. So instead of using belts and steppers, it's using a series of magnets to move the tool head around, and that to me is the most exciting that I've seen. There's only one company that is doing that right now, but it was quite interesting to see it because, again, going back to my day job profession, we offer machines that have linear motor drives on them, and they are they're the very high end machines that we offer are the ones with the linear motor drives. And another thing is that more and more I'm seeing less expensive Linux devices coming out onto the market to replace the would-be Raspberry Pi, which is the de facto standard for installing Clipper on a machine. A lot of companies are developing their own single board computers with a much lower price point. So the entry price into a Clipper system is that much easier to achieve.
Okay.
Yeah, the 3D printer is widely used now, and also the price is down before the decades. So maybe one day the 3D printer will common use in the student's life or just
In the house, in the home,
hobby.
right?
Yeah. Let's see in the future.
Yeah, like I said, with
to
the
see.
price point, with the price point of 3D printers nowadays, to have one in every household isn't really out of the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone have some new about 3D printing? Yeah, you can leave some comments here.
Okay. Chris, is the Act 3 Plus worth getting?
I would say that it's a very good machine. I firmly believe that it has the capabilities to be an excellent addition to, if you have printers already, it's an excellent addition to them. And if you're just starting out, because it's got a Marlin system built onto it, it's a good starting machine. Plus it offers a fairly large envelope for the price point that it's currently sitting at.
Okay. Maybe we can move on.
Okay, how do you think 3D printing will continue to revolutionize various industries in the future?
Well, going back to what I was saying before, where my first experience with 3D printing was back in 2009, 2010, I do find that it is great for rapid prototyping. It's good to have one in a machining environment where you're doing metal removal, but you print out a plastic part, only because it's good to have a physical part to hold in your hand while you're doing your development for your fixturing and your processes, because a 3D CAD model gets you only so far. Sometimes you need to physically hold something in your hand to get an idea of how the part is dimensionally and how it's going to be positioned for operations in a metalworking type environment. It's great for producing parts that would be too expensive to go through the time and trouble to design an injection mold base and get the part injection molded. If the part that you're designing is conducive for 3D printing, then it's a much cheaper and a better solution in the short term, because you can basically make a CAD model and have a finished print within, say, let's say an hour or two, instead of spending days and weeks designing a mold base and then having to send out to get it manufactured, and then have to do all the test shots and make sure that the mold doesn't have to be modified in any way. And there's a lot involved in that process that 3D printing eliminates, again, as long as the part is conducive for 3D printing. The company that I worked for, we do have some machines that you could call metal 3D printers. They're a powdered metal deposition, laser sintering type machine. And as long as that type of process is applicable to the application, sometimes it's the best solution for the part that you're trying to design. But other times, as far as that portion of it is concerned, the grain structure isn't quite the way that certain parts would have to be designed. So at a molecular level, it's kind of a application specific type process. But if it's applicable to the part that needs to be manufactured, that it's sometimes the best way to go.
Yeah, there are many printers in the market, and also for beginners, maybe we are hard to choose. So people can search and watch the videos about the printers or the reviewers. It can really help us a lot. Any question about the 3D printers future?
I see a question down in the chat. Is the firmware open source yet? I'm going to leave that to you guys. But Chris, if you want to get that machine, learn that machine, and then install Clipper, feel free to hit me up anytime.
Wow. Okay. Actually, this is all the topics that we prepared, and actually we have more time. Maybe we can have some free talks. Yeah. As we can see, there's another comment.
Yeah, another comment.
Okay.
If you have to choose one of the new features, speed, auto level, multicolor, build plot, what do you prefer? Yeah, it's a popular question.
That's a very popular question, but again, that is a question that is going to be application specific, so it's going to be difficult to give an exact answer. But
yeah,
I'm from the I'm one of the type of people that doesn't believe that speed is the way to go with 3D printing. You can print fast with certain materials, but other materials, they just don't lend themselves to printing quickly. So again, that's kind of a subjective question. I prefer to have a quality part rather than a fastly printed part, because a fastly printed part has a tendency to want to either delaminate or find its way off of the build plate during the printing process. So I kind of take the speed thing with a grain of salt. As far as the multicolor is concerned, I think that multicolor is still in an early stage right now, and there's more wasted product as far as wasted filament because of the purging that's involved in the multicolor process. I think that eventually they're going to get to a point where there is less and less wasted material, but until they get to that point, I'm not really super interested in it, because you can waste more filament on a purge block than you actually get in your part.
Yeah, that is a question, because if you print a multicolor, it will waste more filaments, and not everyone are interested in so many colors on the printing.
Yeah, also there are not much printers success to balance the head speed and the best quality. So I think for beginners, the best quality easily use is good.
Be the first.
Yeah, it's worth to get such printer.
But I think multicolor is also a tendency in the 3D printing industry, especially the consumer grade. As we can see, there are many brands just released their multicolor printers. So it's a question that's Phil, do you think our brand should to chase this kind of tendency in the market? Because because as a company's perspective,
I think that it's kind of a hard question to answer, because there are DIY solutions that are available that can be built by the end user that want to get into multicolor. But if somebody wants a multicolor option straight from the box, then yes, then by all means, I would pursue that avenue as part of the product lineup. Yes.
Okay, someone asked us a question in Facebook.
Jonathan said, I would love to have multicolor 3D printer with at least the build plate size of the X3 Plus. Okay, that means a bigger size and with multicolor function. Yeah. So Jonathan is actually pursuing this kind of requirements. So as a brand perspective, I think we will have more search in the market and to listen to the customers' opinions.
Okay, someone says that he purchased X3 because of this video. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for Phil.
Yeah, especially on our user group, we can see Phil. He's very active and help people a lot on it. So we really appreciate.
Okay, any question about the 3D printing feature?
Okay.
I think nowadays that some people are eager to more creative in the 3D printer, but in fact, we need to consider that any creative things will not very well, but not work well. So I think for beginners, buy someone that is work well in the market is good.
Yeah. So Phil, do you have some projects want to share with us? The projects you do recently.
Yeah, I don't really have anything prepared. I primarily use my printers to print. Okay, well here I've got kind of hard to see because of the background, but I've got these little things that I printed recently, and what these are, they're two
Wow.
separate little brackets that sit on top of my
Well,
laptop display, and then I can put a second monitor on top of my laptop display with these brackets. So I find little niche parts that I want to produce, rather than, I'm not one that spits out articulating dragons all the time, things like that.
Okay.
I do a lot more mechanically functional type parts rather than
Okay.
rather than the cartoony kind of ones.
Okay,
Yeah.
rather than the decorations or
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
not real. Okay, Robert asked a question. I've seen that they are working towards 3D printing human organs in the future for transplant using the patient's own stem cells.
Oh, that's interesting. I know that they're
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
3D printing for certain implant type situations, but I've not heard that they're using stem cells to do it with.
Okay. We check the meeting time.
Answer. Okay, I think we answer all the questions from the comments.
Yeah. And I think it's almost the end of our live stream. Right.
Any more questions? Okay, if no more questions, we will thank for the fair come here and answer many questions from you guys. Okay. Okay, let's say bye-bye to Phil.
Good night. Thank you for
so
having me.
much.
This was a
Thank
fun
you
time.
so much for preparing, to sharing so much with us. Okay,
Thank you.
bye. See you
Have a
next
nice
time.
day.
Have a good
Bye.
night.
Okay. We hope that you will love these live streams, and we talk many skills today because Phil is very professional. Yes, very informative. Good job, Phil. Yes, Phil.
Thank you, Phil.
Very nice, and we hope that one day we will invite Phil again, and we hope you will come our next live stream.
Yeah. So if you like our live stream, you can tell us and comment here. And also, you just follow our social media channel. We will have more stream on YouTube and Facebook.
Okay, one more question from. Does the X3 Pro take any volcano nozzle or a certain one?
Actually, it's a certain volcano nozzle from Itinerary, I think. But some people just find a replacement from other buyers, like on Amazon. They can find the replaced one. Yeah. And actually, we also offer the replacement on our official website.
Yeah, you can buy it from our website.
So it's a very nice talk to.
Yeah, especially
today.
for the beginners, I think they will learn a lot by talking with Phil, and you also can watch his channel. And
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe his channel, The Pharaoh Engineer.
Yeah.
And don't forget to follow our channel. But I think people here, they are all follow Itinerary's channel, right?
Yeah. If you have any question to ask us, you can also leave a comments.
Yeah.
We still have some time.
If they are not, we just finish the live stream. Okay, I think it's time to say goodbye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
See you next time.
See you next time.